Hi everybody, I am going to show you today how to make this cute little treat pouch that I made using some of Stampin' Up's designer fabric. And again, like in the video last week, my very favorite new product, these Framelit dies. And these are the label shape. They also come in hearts, but these label frames I just think are possibilities are endless. They're really cool. So what I'm going to do first is show you how these cut through fabric. This is the Timeless Portrait Designer Series fabric, and Stampin' Up! Has a selection of fabrics that match pattern papers as well and coordinate with the different Stampin' Up! Colors. So I chose the Timeless Portrait. I was thinking that this would be a good Valentine's gift for my kids' teachers this year. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the largest label framelit, and when you're using this on fabric, you're going to need to use a shim. And a shim is anything you have in your scrap pile that is just basically paper. Sometimes I just need a cardstock shim. Sometimes I need something just a little bit thicker, like this is backing from a DSP paper pack, and I just cut it a strip, and we're going to just put it on top to make that sandwich in the die a little bit tighter. So I'm going to start out. These were my choices if you haven't seen them yet, and I love black and white, so I'm going with the black and white. And if you're a sewer and you've ever cut out a pattern, you know that you need to put your fabrics back to back or front to front, depending on what you're going to do with it. So we want these back to back like that, or inside to inside. And we are on tab 2 right here on the top, the very top of your multi-purpose platform. Put down the clear plate and put down your die, put down your clear plate again, and your shim. And you might have to experiment with your shims to see what works best for you, but this shim works pretty well for me, and it does take some muscle, alright, to get it all the way through. And I'm going to pull it out and see how it did. Now sometimes the fabric just comes right apart, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Occasionally one little side will stick, kind of like this one, but not really, and I just take my scissors and just kind of shave it off. So now the next part is to sew it together, and I do have a sewing machine, but not everyone does, so just know that you don't always have to sew. You could hand stitch with just the needle and thread, or you could even just use some fabric glue around the edges. But I did use my sewing machine, and so for the purpose of the video, I went ahead and did this one. And when I sat down to make my first one, I kind of got lost as to where I needed to start and stop, so I marked it with pens this time so that I would kind of keep my stitching going up to about the same point. Now for the inside of my pouch, I used these great cellophane, I don't know if you can see that, these cellophane bags that Stampin' Up! Sells. These are the 3x5 size, and they come in packages of 50 for $3.95, which is just amazing. It's a really good price. You'll never run out of them. And I went ahead and put it in here like this, and put my treat. I got it's some fancy candy bark that I got at my local grocery store. So I put that down in there, and you can see that over here on this one, and stuffed it down so that I knew exactly how big, how tight that hole was going to be. Then with my Crop-A-Dile, I'm going to punch some holes around the edge to make kind of a drawstring. And if you are not familiar with a Crop-A-Dile, it's this crazy contraption, and everybody thinks that you're going to use this part right here to punch a hole, and that's not where you're going to punch the hole. This is for setting eyelets. You have a hole puncher here and a hole puncher here. And if you look, this one punches big holes, this one punches small holes. So for this, because we're going to take some ribbon through it, I'm going to use the bigger one. And I'm going to do just some holes across here and some holes across the back side in the same manner. And they don't have to be perfect. Once you cinch this up, you're not going to see where you put your holes. Okay, I put 4 in the front and 4 in the back. Then I'm going to take some cherry cobbler stripe grosgrain ribbon, and this one has already been cut a little bit. You can see I can turn one piece into 3 pieces. I can get 3 uses out of it just by going down and cutting the length all the way down. This creates a frayed edge, and if you are a follower of my blog, you know that I have reached the point where I can no longer make any project with regular ribbon. I want all my edges frayed. I like the rustic kind of messy vibe it gives my projects. So I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to use one of these pieces. And I want to tie my bow right here in the middle, so I'm going to start 2 in and just kind of feed it. Well, if I can get it through here, fold it a little bit. Okay, all the way around. And as you can see, this is not difficult in the least. You just have to get the fabric punched through there. These projects are pretty quick. I think I made mine in under 15 minutes the first time. Just a quick, easy project for anybody, really, and it doesn't have to be for Valentine's Day. I think mine doesn't really necessarily look like Valentine's Day, but that's what I'm going to use them for. I have 3 daughters, and they each have several teachers that they like to treat, and so these will be pretty fast to get done. And I think because it has fabric, it gives it more of a special feel. When someone receives something that's handmade with fabric and stitching, I think they feel like that's pretty special. Alright, so now I need to make my ribbon equal on both sides. And because I don't have any candy in here, it's not going to look quite right. But see how I'm going to cinch that up and just tie a bow. Now, when it's full, it's much stiffer and looks a little bit better than this one. It's a little bit messy, but I'll pull over the original in a second. It just needs to have some candy in it for it to keep its shape. And so there's my bow, and I always want to cut my ribbons to a point, and I've got a lot of fibers here, so I will have to straighten that out. Now, for the label part, I took the same label dies and I got, let's see, let me show you all of them so you can see what size I used. I took this one right here and I cut out Whisper White, and then I took this one and I put my fabric on those multi-purpose sheets just like I did last week, and this is just going to make your fabric so much easier to work with instead of trying to stick it with any kind of adhesive. You're going to lift this top layer off, lay your fabric down, and smooth it out. I like to take my bone folder and really smush it out, get it to stick. Okay, cut it off and run it through. This is about the second from the smallest. Run it through, and then after you've cut it, you can just peel it off and it's sticky on the back. So I put it on my Whisper White, and then I again went around it with a sewing machine. And this was a little trickier. Again, another step you could just skip if you didn't have a sewing machine. The stamp set is actually a Christmas stamp set, but I think it could go, for any season. It's called Sweet Season, and it only comes in wood. There's 4 stamps in it. I stamped it in basic black or StazOn black, punched it out with the extra large oval punch. Then you can see I stamped it again in cherry cobbler, and with my scissors I just cut around that house and glued it on, and then filled that little heart with this awesome cherry cobbler dazzling details. This stuff's awesome. I love it. And so then to adhere it on here, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Crystal Effects is seriously the world's strongest glue. I love this stuff. My altered book last summer that I submitted for Artisan, I used a ton of this because once you put Crystal Effects on it, that stuff's not going anywhere. It stays. And so I just adhered my label with that Crystal Effects on there, and it is sturdy as can be. The last thing I did was to add one of these cute little heart charms that are in the Occasions catalog, just as a little added, you know, just a little added decoration, and I tied it on with some cherry collar twine. So that's it, and that is a nice little treat for anybody. But I don't want you guys to feel intimidated about the fabric. Like you could see, it's very easy to use. It's not much different than paper. But if the sewing throws you off, then I want you to see also that this can be made with paper. This is all, all paper, and I did sew it. You can see I cut it exactly the same way, and I did sew it. But again, you could use sticky strip on this. I think it would work perfectly. If you've never sewed on paper and you do have a sewing machine, you really should try it. I love sewing on paper. It's very easy, and it really adds a lot to your paper projects. I did a little bit bigger of the label here. The middle one is this third one in the set, and then this one is the fourth one. And I used two different stamp sets. Sweets for the sweet is from the main catalog, and the cherry is from a set that's in the Occasions catalog. And so I use things not necessarily for Valentine's Day, but I think those would make a very nice treat for anybody. And it's pretty quick too, and I think it has a pretty big wow factor. So I would love for you guys to give it a try. I want to see what you make, and I want to see what kind of ideas you come up with and who you're going to give these to. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks again for your support and your positive feedback last week on the video. I'm really going to try to do this hopefully once a week so that I can get better at it hopefully and teach you a few things. Have a great week. Thanks. Bye-bye.